So Nicole has hit on the intersection of several of my personal interests because in the supreme irony of my life as a libertarian and columnist, I'm the child of a lobbyist, and specifically a lobbyist for New York City's infrastructure industry, now retired. And so I have lots of opinions on the New York City subway, but also on failing companies and failing bureaucracies. And so I would say a couple things, and the first is that yes, it is a unique problem to government, not because these problems don't show up in companies, they absolutely do. My favorite example of this was I did temp work at a company that was, I would imagine, having some cost problems, so they had decided, like, everyone gets one pen, right? Because we're gonna cut down on all of the rampant pen theft, so you have to bring back your old depleted pen to get a new pen. Well, as you can imagine, what then happened was that someone lost their pen. And then the next thing they did was steal someone else's pen. And soon the entire office was occupied in basically nothing but either stealing pens or like defending their pens from other pen thieves. This is a completely counterproductive way to deal with it. But like, right, I assume that company is no longer with us. But if that were a government agency, we would be in like year 25 of the Great Pen Roundtable. Right, and so that's part of it, but there is a thing about federalism, and I think something that Cuomo is dealing with and something that we deal with, and I just wrote about this actually recently with regards to California's high-speed rail. One of the things that really afflicts federalism in the United States is like that it's overlapping, right? It's not a central authority that is down, it is then devolving some authority to another group with still, as Philip says, a line of accountability to the top where presumably, like Eisenhower, the buck stops here with the president, right? Instead, what you actually have is competing governments. And no one has any authority to resolve anything. And so you see this anywhere basically where the transit system crosses state lines. You see it in Washington where we have a completely totally dysfunctional basically DC, Virginia, Maryland. No one has final authority except Congress, who doesn't care. They can't fund anything. And, you know, as my husband recently said when we were talking about subway lines, they were like, you know, you can ride that line more days than not and it will not catch fire. I know you guys have similar problems here since I grew up here. But, you know, what Cuomo is trying to solve is that very small governments are subject to capture by special interests. Very large governments are much less subject to that, but then have this problem of like managing a very large institution is very difficult. America manages to neatly combine those two problems in one system. And so what you end up with is our 2.5 billion a mile tunneling costs and all the rest of it, because we combine all of that lobbying power of very small groups with the proceduralism of the feds. So my dad used to estimate that adding federal money to a project would add about 5 years to completion, because the compliance then sucks up more time and you need more consultants to do the compliance and all of this. And so, you know, I don't know how to fix that problem. It is somewhat weirdly unique to the American system because we don't merely have like devolved power. We actually have literally, the federal government just can't say no to a bunch of stuff. And the fact is that like most of the cities on the coasts have been very well captured by their special interests and will lobby to keep the 25 guys sitting in the tunnel doing nothing.